Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us this week. I like to say, also like I just said, thank you for joining us to talk about the issues in the Black community that help us unify. Also, thank you to everyone on Facebook Live, the Demetra Kaye podcast, and YouTube. And a super huge thank you to Donovan Sadiq, who is the producer of the Demetra Kaye podcast and the Demetra Kaye YouTube channel. It's like trying to say all that. It's like, so thank you very much. For those of you on the live, I got the shadow on me. On the live feed, you won't be able to see Donovan because he is actually doing all of the buttons and bells and whistles to make everything else happen. So you'll just see me. But when he produces the video for YouTube, you will see him as well. It's kind of a good looking guy. For the single ladies out there, that's he's right. Looking. Single. So anyway, he's helping me to reach more people. So we going places, y'all. Hey, Al, what's happening? Okay, so as I don't see anybody else on, just Al. Well, no, I see three people. The topic says, as the sleeping giant, the black man awakens. Sounds like a soap opera or something. Dun, 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 dun. But there's more to the story. And so I'll try to give people a couple more moments to get on. But I'm just going to go ahead and get into it. So who is the sleeping giant? That is the question. Well, as I alluded to in the opening, the sleeping giant is the black man. All right. Now, we've been mentally and spiritually dead for so long that we have found ourselves under the grasp, hey, Sydney, of the oppressor. Okay. And even now in 2017, we are still struggling to get from under the control of the oppressor. So we ask how? How are we under the control? Well, we know through slavery, Jim Crow, and now in modern time with systemic and institutional racism, it continues. Now, we've also played a big part in the continuation of the madness that has been taught to us about us. So what do I mean by that? By believing the stereotypes and the lies. And what you hear is Donovan's part of it over there. He's going to turn it down. That we're nothing, we're this, we're that, we're lazy, just all these things. So we've bought into those things. But we know overall that is not true. That is a lie. All right, so what else do we got here? So those things have caused us self-hate, which has caused us to give, if not most, but all of our wealth away. And it has caused us to struggle. We as Black people are struggling now, struggling in every way, shape, and form. As of now, we have little to no control over what happens to us overall in regards to, let's say, policing, for example. At any given moment, you can watch, hey, Holland, what's happening? You can watch a video and watch one of us being murdered in cold blood by the police. And people are like, well, I guess, what's for breakfast, honey? You know, it's just, you know, this business as usual. So we have no control over that. The prison systems are filled with Black people. We have no control over anything. And as I always talk about with like Dr. Claude Anderson, he talks about us needing to build Black wealth and keep our money so that we can do things with our money, as far as buying into the police department, politics, the court systems, building schools, and just you name it, and building businesses so we can do for self. All right, so, but now, how are we waking up? Well, I think in today's time, we have Trump to thank for that. Well, of course, we know that he's not doing good things for Black people. In fact, he's just full on embraced white supremacy. But let's just take Kaepernick, for instance. You know, when Kaepernick took a knee against police brutality and the injustices that Black people are going through, Trump, you know, got on his little podium in Twitter and basically said that he's spoken to the NFL owners and said, basically, you need, and he said it in front of everybody, you need to fire the son of a bitch who does not stand for the flag. And so what Trump has done with that, he has hijacked the narrative that Kaepernick was trying to get out and making it about the flag and the national anthem when it was never about that. It was about getting justice for Black people, especially in regards to police brutality. So now you're watching all of these, and I tell you, if you doubt what I'm saying, go to your local comment section of, let's say, your Fox News stations or any of the stations that cater to a predominantly larger white audience. And especially when they're talking about Black issues, just read the comments and you'll see their attitudes about Black people. It's not good. You're seeing a lot of people who, before Trump became president, were in the closet with how they feel about Black people. You know, after civil rights and all that, like the KKK and the white supremacists, they kind of went dormant. They were always there, but they kind of went underground. But now that Trump has come out, it's like, yeah.
But you're also seeing a lot of ass whippings happening.
Yeah. Donovan says, you've also seen a lot of ass whippings happen. Which is true, because it's like people say, you're going to get these hands. You know, you mess with the... He's putting my microphone on. You mess with the right person, you're going to catch these hands. And so you're starting to see that. Just with my alma mater of California Baptist University, you guys have seen it all on the news. There's two white girls that went up to these brothers and splashed, and I'm going to get to you guys' comments in just a second, splashed their drink onto these brothers. No, I'm just moving the thing because it has a line across my face.
Good.
Got it? Oops.
Try it now.
Okay. Sorry about that. We're just kind of getting adjusted here. Yes, no line across my face. Okay, so they went to the Lakers game is what it was here in Ontario. I guess they have the preseason game. So they splashed the drinks on the brothers and said, basically, you're going to, stand for the flag. Well, they didn't say that, but they might as well have said that, in the land of the slaves. And so you're seeing these people come out of the closet and just are bold with it. And so at this point, you are starting to see Black people wake up a little bit. As I said, Kaepernick, who is one of the people in society who does not have to do what he did. He's a good-looking dude. He's half white. Not that that is, he neither here or there, but he has lots of money.
Yeah, he was adopted into a rich family.
Yeah, he was adopted into a rich family, but he has lots of money. He could have stayed up there with what I call the special Black people and say, hey, those are your problems. I'm probably not going to ever get pulled over by the police. And if I do, they're going to say, hey, you're Kaepernick. I don't have, go ahead. Yeah, I know you were going 1,000 miles an hour, but cool. Go ahead, brother. He didn't have to do that. So you're seeing people like him wake up. You're seeing people like P. Diddy, who is talking about buying a football league because he is now cognizant and is outspoken about the injustices that Black people are going through. So he's like, hey, I got almost $1 billion. Why not invest? You have your TIs, and it's a brother named Jay Morrison, who's a big-time real estate mogul in Atlanta.
Me.
They're coming out. Yes, you. They're coming out, and they are, starting to be vocal. They're protesting the injustices that are going on. And, of course, the everyday people, such as you and I, who are, using our voice to do what we can to bring awareness to what's going on. And so that brings me to my question, and I'll get to you guys' comments right after I read the question. The question is, I'm trying to read my notes and talk off my head at the same time. But so basically what I like to say too is we are on the right track. Why do I say that? Because now you have the government who has labeled Black identity extremists, or BIE, which is you and I, who are speaking out against racism and injustices. And so now they've moved on to what some people are calling COINTEL 2.0, which was the program that labeled Black groups like the Black Panthers as Black extremists or terrorist groups. They've labeled Black Lives Matter an extremist group and a terrorist group. And so that's what they're starting to do now, because they see what's going on. They see Black people starting to wake up. And so the question I have is, what must we do to make sure that us, the sleeping giant that is now starting to wake up, does not get rocked back to sleep like we did back in the day when COINTEL took hold of us? So I'll go ahead and address your comments and questions. Let's see. Holland says, nice hairdo, sister. Well, thank you. I did it myself. It's getting cold, so I figured I'd put it up. Well, even though it's like 100 degrees here right now. Mateo, what's happening? He said, hello, beautiful. Blessings to all. Well, thank you. Hello to you. And Cindy says, but Obama did this deep. What did he do? Because I talk so much. What did he do? Fill me in. Hey, Michi BFF, what's happening? Thank you for the hairdo compliments, and happy belated birthday to you. I hope you had a great time on your 21st birthday. We are 21. And Cindy says, those white women did use the right, brothers, you're right about that. They went to the right people, because it hadn't been me. That's all I'm going to say. And Al says, is it safe to say Cap and Michael Bennett are the only woke athletes? Well, I think there are some other ones that are woke or are waking up. I just think the other ones are kind of scared. You know, it's like, man, I'm cashing these big checks. I don't want to make Massa mad, because as you guys have seen, Jerry Jones, the Cowboys owners, put it out there, hey, y'all Negroes going to stand. Otherwise, you're going to be benched. You're going to lose some money. And so that is scary to people to think, well, wow, you know, because we know, if any of us have seen the documentary Broke on 30 for 30, a lot of those athletes are probably living check to check.
Sure.
They've spent all of that money. And so it's like, I can't afford not to have, to be benched or whatever for, sticking up for my race.
Hoes got to eat too.
This fool say hoes got to eat too.
No, just real quick to give you an update. Mm-hmm. If you're watching football today, I know Al was at the stadium, so he couldn't see it. But the newscasters and the broadcast did not include the national anthem. So they're trying to get ahead of it by not even showing the national anthem part to kind of kill it out.
Well, which is progress too, because up until Kaepernick took a knee, the national anthem was going on. But for those who don't know, the national anthem is very racist. It was written, there's a third part that's missing. They only actually sing the first part, but the third part spoke out that the guy who wrote it, he was mad with slaves. Like, don't think you're going to go far because they went to fight, in opposition of slavery. Like, who else are going to fight for, right? And so it's very racist, and that basically says, I hope you die, or you will die. Okay. And then, so let's see, what else did I miss? And Holland says, Asada Toppin. And Sydney says, according to Fox, Obama was racist. Well, how can Obama be racist? I think people need to get familiar with the term racism. What does racism mean? Racism is a group of people having the power to oppress another group of people, to stop them in every way, shape, and form. Obama, being the president, he has some power. But if you ask me, Obama wasn't racist. He's the first black man in office, and he did very little to help black people. Exactly. And I'm not saying, he didn't, with Obamacare.
He didn't do shit for black people.
That with the Obamacare, that's now being dismantled by Trump. He did those things in small amounts, but he didn't overall say, here, black people, as I always use the example, here's a bucket of chicken. Here's something. He didn't do those things.
Here's some Air Jordans.
Right. He didn't do those things. And so Sydney said, shout out to Texas. You still on the plantation. June 19th did not occur. Well, Texas got the memo last that slavery had ended, which is why they call it Juneteenth or June 19th. That's when every black person was free, quote unquote. That's when we were no longer tied to the plantation. Say, hey, James, you made a comment on the post that I made before this one. You says, God lull to sleep with programs to keep us underclass. Keep your programs. You can create we can create our own money and work for together. Absolutely. And that's what Claude and John. I don't want to keep saying Jean-Claude Van Damme. He's like on my mind for some reason. Maybe I need to go watch a movie. Dr. Claude Anderson speaks about that. We need to, as many before him and around him said, we need to create our own. And you're right. We did get lullaby to sleep because it's like, here. Matter of fact, we'll end segregation. You guys come on over with us. We'll include you. We're going to move when you move into our neighborhoods, but you can come over here. You want to drink after us so bad in our water fountains and come eat with us? Sure, come on. Sure, come on and do it, And so we have been rocked to sleep with that. And this is what we have now. A lot of us have become dependent upon socialism. For example, I see one of my friends who is like, since Trump has started taking executive orders to dismantle Obamacare, she has been ranting and raving about how bad of a guy Trump is. He's a devil. He's doing this to us. And she's a black woman. And I'm like, yeah, that sucks that he's basically trying to kill off a lot of Americans by dismantling Obamacare. But we need to get to the point to where, as you said, James, that we can do for self and stop depending on the government to take care of us. Rarely do we hear Asians talking about, oh my gosh, Obamacare. I'm not saying concerned. That they don't.
They're not concerned.
Well, they don't have to be concerned because they have their own stuff together.
Exactly. And
so Cindy says, "D, you sure you want to move to Texas? That's where my man is. Where my man is, that's where I want to be."
You'll learn.
Just keep checking on me, y'all. Just keep checking on me, making sure I'm okay. But I'm still here in California as of now. And so Al says, a few years ago, the ESPY Awards, LeBron, D. Wade, Melo, and Chris Paul spoke out about injustices to black people, and it seems that their speech went unheard. Yeah, because that was during the time, if you guys remember, Jesse Williams, I think that's his name, the guy from Grey's Anatomy, he got up there and gave this nice speech, and he's holding black women down and all this other stuff, and then he leaves his black wife or a white woman. So yeah, that was the time that he came out, or those players came out with that, because it's like, okay, now we're starting to build some momentum. But yeah, it did go unheard, but they just kind of made the speech and then went on about their thing. But Kaepernick was like, yo. And as for a lot of us who are now learning, it was actually a veteran who gave him the idea, because the veteran was like, I was pissed off at first seeing him not stand for the flag. And so when he understood why Kaepernick was doing what he was doing, he told him an effective way to do it, and that's why he kneeled. For those of you guys who didn't know that. Hey, Jonelle, I saw you on Minister Farrakhan's 22nd Million Man annual Million Man March. I watched it as long as I could, but as usual, the minister was on fire. And Asada says, hey, peoples, what's happening with you? Holly said, what's up, Asada? You two must know each other. Jonelle says, can't be free without your brain. There was no freedom in white names and whitewash. We even now are in allowance and indentured slavery. Yes. Mentally and now physically, who are occupying the prisons at a large rate? It's us. Any and everything now. The stuff that you used to could do, I say used to could do. You know, you get a slap on the wrist. Hey, go home, don't do that again, pay a fine. Now it's like, oh, you jaywalked? I think you need to go to jail for 5 years. That's what were you thinking? So, because they need bodies to fill these prisons. So, yes, but more importantly, like you said, we are mentally enslaved. We have to get off of this plantation mentally. And so we need to start talking about how to do that. And James says, Section 8, we will give you, but you can't have no man in the house. Just an example. Absolutely. And unfortunately, a lot of us black women, well, not me, because, you know, just wasn't around during those times. But a lot of us black women fell for it. Like, yeah, I could pay $5 a month for rent. You know, I get the food stamps and all this other stuff. Okay, yeah, you know what? I don't need him in the home, even though a lot of them snuck him in the house if you saw Claudine the movie. A lot of them Disney, but you're right. That was another way of rocking us to sleep and separating us. Hey, Benny, what's happening? He says, pool our resources and focus our energy not on trying to make their entities more accessible to us, but to create our own and to employ our brothers and sisters that are being threatened for speaking, let's say, speaking up and out. Yes, we need to get so airtight to where we can protect our own people. So many times have we've seen us come so close to passing the mark of being dependent with your Marcus Garvey and the Black Panther Party and many others. They were so on the brink of turning it around, but the government said not so fast. And so we fell for that and got rocked back to sleep. But you're right. We do need to get airtight so that this doesn't happen again, because it will happen again as long as we are not unified in every way, shape, and form. We are now being forced to get together and start doing for self. It's just, I mean, it's just the way it is. You guys have social media. You see all the countless videos of white people, not all, but a lot of white people are coming out and they're very vocal. of how they feel about us. Before that was like dinner table talk for them, but now it's like, hey, I don't care that you're taping me, nigger. You know, I don't like niggers. I don't know if you guys heard that voicemail of a white lady who left the brother. I guess he's on Fox News sometimes, but left him a 10-minute voicemail of why she hates niggers. I mean, it's like, and she said, I'm speaking for most of white America, so pay attention.
So get ready for ass whooping.
And Jonelle says, yep, all praises are due to Allah. Cindy says, you know what's frustrating? We told the South and the Midwest about Trump, and these Negroes said Hillary was bad. Now these Negroes are upset. Well, I mean, I don't know why anybody will vote for Trump. I mean, indeed, we did have a hard choice between Trump and Hillary. What are you going to do? I personally voted for Hillary because she was the lesser of two evils. Some people would argue differently. But in a way, I'm kind of glad that we have Trump for president because Trump is like, listen, Negroes, I don't give a shit about you. I don't care what you guys do. And so now we're stuck with each other. Isn't that wonderful?
You had everything to lose if you vote for me.
Right. And so Holland says, all the black NFL players should take a sick day. Do you know how much money that would one day will cost the NFL? I bet they will take the issue seriously then. Yes, but are they going to do it though? And you know, it sucks now because the Dallas Cowboys have a bye week, which means that they don't play this week. They're going to play next week. So everybody's kind of like sitting on pins and needles to see if the Cowboys are going to bow down to the massa, Jerry Jones, or are they going to revolt? That is going to be very interesting to see what happens. I've seen a couple of tweets from different players saying that if they're forced to acknowledge and honor the national anthem, that they're going to quit or they're not going to play. So let's see, right? And Al, you say Tiki Barber was the first pro athlete to leave his black woman for an Asian and leave her for a white woman. Holy big bag of M&M's Batman. Yeah, that has to go down somewhere in history. Yeah, that brother is...
you got to be at first of something.
That brother is asleep at the wheel. And for those of you who are just joining, you hear Donovan. He's actually producing the other shows, the Demetra Kaye podcast and the YouTube. So he's sitting next to me working all the knobs and all that other stuff. And Benny says, to be honest, I don't want Colin back in the NFL. At this point, he's become bigger than football, and going back will only stifle his revolutionary potential and his impact and influence he has created. Absolutely. I absolutely agree with that because now it's like, okay, I'm back. And I don't think that Colin will stop fighting for black people. Because we know who it was. It was, the media put out this memo that, he's basically sorry. And if he gets back in, he's going to stand now. Him and his girlfriend put out tweets and Instagram posts saying that's a lie. He never said that. Don't believe it, which I never believed it anyway. I'm like, okay, now you're trying to tell me this man who's done all of this is going to say, okay, massa, I was going to bow down now. I mean, that doesn't even make any sense.
Well, late Ray Lewis is vouching for him.
Yeah, Ray Lewis. Now, one knee is for the team, okay? Remember that. One knee is for the team.
Two knees is for God.
And Howard says, Al Jackson, yes, he is one and OJ was another. Y'all see OJ? He's back in the saddle, y'all.
That's right. He's single, ladies. He is single.
OJ is back at it.
And it seems like only the white women are giving him some rhythm.
They can't resist the black man. Who can, right? And Jonelle says 9 minutes long. Yes, the voicemail was 9 minutes long from this white lady who was giving all the ins and outs as to why niggers are making her sick. Niggers want this, niggers want that. We kill each other. We won't get up out of the ghetto. But you know what? Just bear with me here. Some of the things she said, there was a hint of truth. Although she's I'm being nice and say she's a stupid individual. But she said some things about, it's not wanting to get out of the ghetto or not leaving the ghetto. She says that every other race comes over here.
There's a truth to that.
Yeah, and once they go to the ghetto, they come up and out. So, but that was
our
about
children.
I'm
representing my hood. I'm doing this for my hood, and they don't want to leave. In our generation, it was about getting out.
Well, we get
doing
out.
better.
And then so Sydney says another thing we have to be careful. What we read and post on social media, there are certain groups that claim to be black in power and they are actually white. No, I agree with you. I've gotten out of a lot of those groups because one, There's a lot of infighting. There's a lot of, well, you don't know this and you don't know that. And it's just all just from ignorance. Like everybody's arguing from ignorance. It's like we don't have time to argue about who's right and who's wrong and, you know, all this other nonsense. So I've removed myself from most of those groups,
right.
which I feel so much better.
Well, no wonder I had a drop in my ratings.
Oh,
on my
no,
show.
no. And then Holland said, let's see. Benny says, we need to start taking care of our brothers and sisters that are courageous enough to put it all on the line for their people. Our soldiers should not have to die broke and spend their last days.
Amen, brother.
Let's see, spend their last days not knowing how to pay their bills. We should treat them as royalty. Collins should not have to worry about another dime. We should see to it. Absolutely, because we know that Malcolm X died in poverty. His family was needing to, you know, help raise money to bury him and, you know, to take care of him. It was said, too, that his wife, Betty, she went to the nation even before he died. It was like, yo, we need some help, you know, taking care of things. And for whatever reason, it was said that she was turned away. But most of our leaders have died broke. And you're absolutely right. That should not be the case. We should be helping people like Kaepernick to sustain himself so he can keep the message before the people. That's what we need. And Al says, I'm starting to think OJ in Vegas with the with the Beckys are a PR move to get the city to think about that and offer the shooting. I don't know if OJ has that much clout. Let's be honest. White women love brothers. Don't we all? No, I'm gonna get me one. You ain't getting you a Becky. We all love black men. So, I mean, white women's like, yeah, we heard that he killed 2 people, but we don't care. Let's see. And so Holly says, yeah, true, Al. But if he keeps it up, he will be back in jail. Yeah, OJ, he's just a fool. He's not going to ever learn his lesson. Never. And then so Cindy says, still Negro OJ not learn from his big. Yeah, he's like, shit, I'm back better than ever. I saved up a couple of dollars. I'm out here on the scene. White women love me. Hey, Dennis, what's happening? He says, hey, my people. And Benny says, exactly. Donovan says, check out Demetra on her YouTube channel. Yes, Donovan is also producing that as well. And Billy, what's happening? He says, oh, still think he's white. Yeah, I mean, I recently saw the OJ, the People versus OJ, a couple months back. I binge watched it because it was very interesting, but I had no idea how dead the brother was. Like, he did not associate himself with blackness at all. He was almost like he was creeped out by the thought of being thought of as a black man. Jonelle says, okay, OJ, the voicemail was to Jackson Nichols. Really, we all should hear from the white mother. Hold on a second. Of white men and their insanity towards us, since the white women is the mother of Babylon. Yeah, I mean, she didn't hold anything back. She let it be known. I'm sick of you niggers. You niggers want this. You niggers want that. You niggers are never satisfied. It's because of you, an affirmative action, that us white people can't do this and that. And I saw a video today of another white woman. She slapped a black mailman because he wouldn't take back her letter from something. And she's calling him a nigger. And she says, I know you can call me a nigger too, because she realized she was being filmed. And she says, but basically call him a nigger. And, the white people, they said they're going to kill you. And he says, who's going to kill you? He says, the white people. Us white people, we're going to kill you guys. And so I was like, oh, do tell, Becky. Keep on talking. Hey, Sean.
But how can that lady complain about affirmative action when it wasn't black people that enacted that? That was a white conspiracy to keep us down.
Right. Well, they're ignorant. Okay. So she, of course she doesn't know. She just thinks that black people have just taken over, if that's what you want to call it. We haven't taken over yet, but we're getting ready to. And so, Sean, what's happening with you? It says, we have to start getting more educated on how to create true wealth and leave a legacy for our families. That's why we can't pay our bills. And the family struggles when we leave here because we've left them nothing. Absolutely. I mean, you were kind of chopping it up. I didn't get a chance to finish talking to you via the inbox, but you're absolutely right. We do talk about that quite a bit here, that we don't, and it's just in regards to life insurance. We think that having and we know funerals nowadays cost anywhere between $10,000 and up, depending on what kind of funeral you want. You need to have more than just burial. You need to leave your family a legacy. That's how a lot of families, white families, create wealth. They leave something so that their kids can build or continue to survive by leaving a financial legacy. So you're absolutely right. We need to change our mindset. And Holland says he didn't learn his lesson. No, OJ is a fool. And you know what? Those are the type of people that Marcus Garvey was speaking of when he said there are some Negroes that are no good here when he was trying to go back to Africa. And there's no doubt there'll be no good over there as well. So we need to stop focusing on them. Mm-hmm. Honestly, OJ is a distraction. He's fun to talk about because he's just, it just is. However, we need to keep our eyes on the prize of unity. And so Benny says the same as Michael Jordan. Yeah, Michael Jordan, he's just, I really don't know what to think about Michael, except for you've got all this money and influence and you choose to kind of just, be silent. You're going to go off with, I don't know what she is. She's not black. And you're just going to go, she's going to go do your thing and you're just going to remain silent while we buy all of your shoes, which is silly. What happened? It turned him white. Yeah, somehow, he started off with a sister, beautiful black woman, black kids, and then maybe it was the Heisman. He touched it and he was like, woo! And then you said also, that was an old video with the mailman. She went to, I hope she did go to jail. So that was an old video. Okay. Yes, she slapped him. And then she tried to lie and say, I didn't slap you. He was like, okay, then what was that then? You also say, can you share the voicemail? It's actually on my wall. I put it on there yesterday. Somebody sent it to me. And I was like, oh, really now? And she was one angry individual. And then Shine says, hey, queen, hey, king. And then Holland says, true wealth comes as group economics, not individual wealth. Absolutely. Somehow we that got lost in translation. Even before segregation ended, as it was W.E.B. Du Bois was talking about the talent and 10 theory. Those who were talented and gifted, the 10%, I'm assuming, were supposed to go acquire the knowledge and the wealth and come back to the rest of us and say, hey, this is what I got, and I'm going to bring it back. I'm going to teach you. I'm going to share. And so that didn't happen. And so now we do have what you call individual wealth, especially in our community. It's like, oh, as I call them, the special black. I'm special black. That doesn't pertain to me. You guys have issues. I don't. But we know if we're going to make it as a group, we are going to have to practice group economics. It's a no-brainer at this point. Al says, when OJ was released from prison, what he was wearing, he changed his name to Orenthal Jordash Simpson. Oh, I hope not. Jonelle says, OJ was like that brother in Get Out. They yelled Get Out, and she was making subtle advances toward that mailman. That was old Miss Ann checking her slave. Yeah, she was mad because he, it sounded like he was from the Caribbeans, and he was like, what are you doing that to me? Not that he was being dignified, but he was like, lady, listen, I'm late for delivering this mail, and I need you to get on off this truck, okay? And yeah, so I totally agree with you on that. Hey, Secret Garden, where have you been? It says, in my opinion, we spend too much time on white people, quote unquote, not in our creative efforts on our own welfare, not the monthly welfare. No, I agree with it's distractions. Like I said, OJ, it's fun to talk about, hardy, hard, but he is a distraction. OJ don't give no damns about black people. If he can roll in a vat of bleach and not be black, he would do it in a heartbeat. So, like someone else said before, we rallied for OJ the first time. Yay, he was exonerated of murder. Woohoo! But then he went right back to the white people, and then he ended up back in jail. It's like, brother, we ain't got no sympathy for you this time. Go on and do you. So you're absolutely right. We need to stop being distracted. Randy, what's happening? Say black people's organized love for Kaepernick isn't as strong as white people's organized hatred. We need our own league. The billionaires and millionaires need to come together and start our own. And start our own. We already, and the knowledge with the products. So I think you're saying we're ready. We have the knowledge and the products. Absolutely. Black people are the most gifted and talented people on the earth. We are just athletically inclined by nature. And so there's no reason why we shouldn't have our own, because we know that the NFL makes up, black men in the NFL make up 70% of an all-white owned industry.
But the white man's ice is colder than ours.
The white man's ice is colder than ours. Well, it's conditioning. As Minister Louis Farrakhan said years ago, even before this jumped off of Kaepernick, that the athlete, in regards to football players, they're just highly paid slaves on the plantation. And that's exactly what's going on here.
See, Isaiah Thomas, he already owns the D League, or the lower. He bought the whole league.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And you would think that these black people would jump on board and form our own leagues. It's just, read my comment that I wrote to you.
I'm going to read it right now.
It just is not going to happen. We're talking. But the fact of the matter is, with the way ratchetness is taking over and the people that are in a position economically not to do anything, they're the majority and they're not going to do anything.
Well, then again, we have to go on with Marcus Garvey's ideology. We're just not going to save everybody. We should stop focusing on them. I mean, it's like, I always use the analogy when I'm working with people. It's like people say they want you to help them, but then you keep throwing, say they're drowning, and you throw their life raft out there, but they keep swimming away from it. Oh, wait, help me. And then sometimes they're not even asking you to help, but we keep reeling the life raft back, or the best, and it keeps swimming from it. So it's like, why are we wasting our time and effort on that? But your comment says we keep talking about what we should do, this and that. The fact is, these black folks nowadays will never unite and not taught basic economics. It's all about me, period. We are just talking a dream. Well, I don't think that we're just talking a dream, because us that are here, and there's many of us, and see, that's another thing we need to stop doing, is believing the hype that black people, yeah, we got issues. Listen, let's not lie about that. We do have issues, but we are not a total lost cause. We are starting to wake up, but to my earlier comment, we're not going to be able to save everybody. Everybody doesn't. I think, Benny, you make the point of saying that some people are just comfortable. They're comfortable being asleep. Listen, I don't have any immediate problems. As far as I can see, I've never experienced racism. So I'm fine over here. And so Cindy says, we need to read, study Dr. Anderson. I totally agree. And, it's very disheartening, because this brother has laid out the blueprint for us to follow. Even if you don't buy the books, which is, Powernomics, and as this white labor, black labor, white wealth, you can go on YouTube. He's got countless lectures and stuff that's on YouTube that people put up, and his message doesn't change. It's about building a black economy, practicing group economics. That is the only way we're going to survive. We are struggling, and we need to stop struggling. But I agree with you, Cindy. And Jonelle says, you really see the 9 psychopaths when dealing with white women. Oh, Lord. And what is that? Ed Moore, what's happening? He says, the black 1%. Yes, those are the ones. But they're starting to wake up a little bit. Like your P. Diddy's and your T.I.'s and the other people. They're like, okay, now we can no longer remain silent. We need to actually start using our platform to help our people. So that's good to see. And Holland says, exactly. Billy says, Michael Jordan does a lot of silent stuff in North Carolina, but I wish he would be verbally strong. But as black man, being intellectually sting is scary to the white man. So he does it where he's not a threat, which I don't agree with. Yeah, of course. He's like, listen, the white establishment has made me very rich, and so I don't want to jeopardize that.
Not sure the black establishment.
Well, we know the black establishment made it, but the white establishment has put him on, and unfortunately, people like Michael Jordan, they're still trying to appease white people, and they are apologetically black, not unapologetically, but apologetically black. I'm a black man, I have all this power, but I choose to kind of be under the radar. But people like Michael Jordan should be very vocal. I mean, he's got enough money. Damn, how much money do you need at this point?
I have a question from Michelle on the podcast. She says, education is not stressed anymore in the home. Example, Black China and her daughter. The mother is celebrating the fact that her daughter married or got involved with the Kardashian, and it's a payday.
Okay.
So
So this question actually came from the podcast, and hold on to it. I'm going to address it in just a second. Thank you, Michelle, for the question. Okay, and so Eddie says, hashtag smoke and mirrors. And Shine says, what I have to show you is the epitome of what you're talking about. I didn't know you were this deep. Oh, well, thank you. No, I says, get back with me so I can show you a system that my organization has in place that can help. Let's see. Let me go back. That has in place that can help our people tremendously. Each one teach one. The U.S. dollar has already lost 98% of its purchasing power and been denied by 33 countries and growing. The next collapse is coming soon. Yes, we will talk about it. I have heard some of what you were talking about. Thank you for the question. So yes, absolutely. And Dennis, you say he's gonna pull Sammy Sosa next. Oh gosh, what's poor Sammy Sosa? What is going on? That's not a physical thing. That's a mental thing. That you would do that to your beautiful brown skin.
It is very dominant in the Caribbean right now.
Oh my
a lot
God,
of
he
black
looks like
people
a monster.
are bleaching themselves in the Caribbean.
He looks crazy. And Benny, you say psychological, physiological. Trying to read that. I just can't stress it enough. Until we focus on the mental disorder that we suffer from, we will never be able to move to the next steps, which are economics and self-governance, simply because if we do not have a handle on our behavior, we can get all the money in the world, but if we do not know what is really valuable, which is unity, we will always easily be divided by simple things. No, absolutely, because you're right. It is a mindset we need to get out of, as Donovan said earlier, thinking that the white man's ice is colder than ours and that we have nothing to offer. And it comes from, as Jonelle talks about a lot, self-love. We have to learn to love ourselves as black people, because we can't love anybody else if we don't love ourselves, which is why we don't think about going to, let's say a black restaurant before we go to a Denny's, or helping each other. We see somebody else who seems to be doing something, climbing out of the barrel. Nowadays, we don't even try to pull them down per se. It's just like, I'm just going to ignore it. I'm going to pretend like I'm not going to even give that person no attention, because who do they think they are? We just need to get out of that. It's crazy. And then Secret Garden, you say,